Hey everyone, Kim here with Abundant Life Tarot. Welcome to the channel and welcome to a Mystery Mystic Monday. We are continuing our readings for Erica Marie Wright. This is part 3 and this is viewer questions. I am posing to Spirit and I am blown away by y'all's comments. Your questions really help to hone in on who did this and what their motive was. And I'll be honest, I went into this reading thinking one way, thinking about it being one person or a particular motive. And wow, after this reading, it's a totally different perception that I have about this case. So thank you for being so kind to answer the call and to provide those questions because you inspired this video. All right, my dears, without further ado, we're going to dive into it. As you can see, the main thrust of our questions in today's reading is about who did this and their motive. All right, let's get started. Hi friends, so you're probably wondering, why are all the cards here on the table? Kim normally uses jumping cards, and I do, and I did. However, the recorder did not record for whatever reason, and yeah, after 45 minutes, I looked at what's like the playback, seeing how it played back, and there was nothing there. Oh my God. So that's okay. I was tempted to reshuffle all these cards and start over, but Spirit gave me direct guidance, like, no, leave the cards on the table. You have your questions and these are the cards that need to be read. And so I was like, okay, I'll listen. And I also had an epiphany, a moment of understanding why that happened. I will be frank with you all. I have this certain idea, or at least in my view, I thought that perhaps an intimate partner did this to Erica, and I still do feel that way. But that could be just my own bias as, you know, as a woman, as a human being, and it's not necessarily what it was coming up at all in the reading. And so I want to share that with you. And I'm curious to hear your insights. And I think what the epiphany is surrounding is that because I had that bias, I needed a moment to understand and really sit with what came up in the messages in these cards to these questions. And so I could be able to share with you all in a more distilled fashion. I mean, this reading will actually move a lot faster than 45 minutes, I'm thinking, because you're not waiting for me to shuffle and have all the cards fly out and whatnot. But still, I was a little taken aback by what was revealed. So I'm going to share that with you now. But before we get into the questions that I had, I wanted to show you all some cards. Okay, so you know I used the Divine Crime Oracle, and I used that in the Oracle reading preceding this reading right here. And what I always say when I'm teaching folks how to read the cards is sometimes it's just as important about what came out on the table as it is what is not on the table, what is not shown in the cards. You know, as a reader, you can't ignore that part too of what didn't come up. Okay, remember that. This card didn't come up. Stranger. This card didn't come up either. Break and enter. Nor did this one. Stalker, waiting, watching, and stalking. Or opportunity, random, and impulse. Now, at first, when you first think about it, you think, oh, well, maybe someone, broke into her house and just is a crazy person and attacking her. And it must be, it could be a stranger. It could be somebody running loose that could hurt the public, right? The public is in danger. But nah, these cards had plenty of opportunities in the last few readings that we've done with this deck to pop out, and they did not. So I just wanted to show that to you. I think that is important to share. Okay, now let's get to the questions at hand. You may hear me clicking back and forth. That's because I'm scrolling or looking at the questions that I have here on my little Google Doc. Okay, so the first question that we wanted to ask about was law enforcement. Where is law enforcement? Why haven't they really put out announcements? Do they have, a pulse on what's going on with this investigation? What is going on with them? Because really and truly, it is upsetting that no information has come forward lately in the way of an update. So let me tell you the cards that we got. I'm going to use my wand. I know this bothered one person who left a comment that said they didn't like me using my wand. And I'm like, well, tough titty, said the kitty. Sorry, but it kind of annoyed me because I have to use this. There's multiple reasons I use this, but one of the reasons is when I have a massive spread like this, I can point. So we have daughter, footprints, local, choke. And for the tarot, we have Queen of Wands, the Hermit, the Eight of Coins, and the Tower in reverse. So what I got from this part to this question is that law enforcement is looking at a close connection to Erica. Now, this doesn't mean, a daughter of hers is involved. I mean, of course, it can mean a daughter of someone that may know something, a witness that may know something, the daughter of someone who may know something. But what I took from that daughter card sitting over the Queen of Wands is this need to protect some vital information about this case. That law enforcement actually has a control and pulse over what has been going on with the investigation. That this is not something that is completely out of their control, but there is something of concern with that reverse tower, but I'll talk to you all about that in a moment. The footprints over the Hermit card, they are using it to their advantage, law enforcement, that there hasn't been a public outcry for information, that it hasn't really been in the news, and they're using that to their advantage to really work this case and to work it thoroughly, quietly, withdrawn from the public eye. But that doesn't mean that they don't have knowledge. That doesn't mean that they don't have evidence with the footprints card. Okay? The local card spoke to the fact that there hasn't been a lot of local news focusing on it, and it certainly hasn't had any national news focused on it. But they are, with the Eight of Coins, working this case. They have seasoned detectives looking at this, as well as new detectives who are thirsty for wanting to crack this case, and together they are coming together to try to resolve the case. They're also exploring local connections. This is not something that's foreign to this victim. The local card means that this person who is responsible for her demise is local, very local, and known to the Queen of Wands. It's not a secret to her. She knows, she may have even known this danger was kind of imminent, but she didn't know how imminent it was. And that is important. Later on, we'll talk about that, okay? They're choking back information. Let me see if I can bring this. This card comes up often in these type of readings I do because it's speaking to law enforcement wanting to choke back and not show their hands, not give away a lot of information at this time, because they're trying to protect the integrity of the investigation. They are protecting someone, not just the investigation, but they're protecting people who are related to Erica. Because the case is primarily at this point circumstantial. We'll talk about that in a moment, why I'm sensing that. And the Tower card is showing how precarious the case is, and they don't want this to mess up. They have their sights on who likely is responsible. They have an understanding. That's why there hasn't been pleas to the public for information. However, this is a very delicate situation we're dealing with here with the reverse tower. When the information finally pops out, it's no longer choked back, suffocated, stuffed down. When it comes out, it will have ramifications that affects people close to her or around Erica. It could also, if the information comes out too soon, it could jeopardize the prosecution of this case. Okay, that is what the reverse tower is speaking to me. So I do sense that they are making progress slowly but surely. The Eight of Coins represents the time period. It could take years from the time of really truly getting all their ducks in a row, getting everything in place, and then taking it to trial. If it even can make it to trial. I'll talk about that in a moment too. Because there is some elements to this that could make it so that it doesn't make it to trial. Okay? But the footprints card is about they have digital evidence. They actually have footprints or evidence leading to and from the crime scene. Okay? The daughter card, like I said before, I just sense that has something to do with the close proximity to her. It could mean a relation to her. It could represent a female, or it could just simply mean that she is protecting someone that is like a child to her. Okay? We'll talk about that next in question number 2. Now, the illegal activities oracle card had jumped in the previous readings I did regarding Erica's case. And one of my dear longtime subscribers and I were wondering, we were kind of going back and forth in the comment section about what the illegal activities card could mean. So I used that as a question. Or Spirit, can we get some clarification about the illegal activities card and what could it possibly mean? Let me show you the cards that jumped. Human trafficking, trauma, cell phone. The tarot was balance, which is traditionally in the traditional tarot, justice. Page of Cups. Eight of Cups. Wow. When the human trafficking card comes up in a reading, yes, it can mean act of prostitution or, using the means of a human being for profit, or moving a human being from one place to the other, trafficking, moving a human being as it relates to money. If you look carefully here on this card, it has secret. This was a secret. This was a secret that they were trying to, this person, this perpetrator who levied this terrible attack onto Erica with the bludgeoning with the baseball bat. This person had a secret. Okay, they were wanting to evade justice. They were wanting to keep things in balance for their life. And Erica was in the know about this. She was in the know. And she wanted some things to come to light. It's pertaining to trauma that was affecting a child with the Page of Cups. Pages are about information, news, a child with a page of cups, as you see the child depicted. And this is a card about heart matters, matters of the heart, connections, love connections, caring for someone. And in this case, caring for someone who's young. There was some sort of trauma that she knew about, that she wanted justice in this situation. She was aware that there was some sort of illegal element going on. And I was really trying to gain some more insights into, well, okay, we've got illegal activities, human trafficking. What could that mean? And then we got cell phone and 8 of cups. So there was probably some text messages, cell phone records, conversations, voicemails, perhaps maybe even social media, but I'm sensing something about messages that captured what kind of trauma a child or a young person, preteen, teenager, child, was going through. Okay. And I know that Erica was like a teen mom. Her teen boys were into baseball. It could have something to do with baseball. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment because I did ask that question. But it also could just simply mean that she had information about a young person. And she was tired of this. Somebody wanted to walk away, and I sense it was her. She wanted to just move to emotional higher ground in this situation. She wanted to be done with the situation, to walk away. And perhaps this could have scared someone. She had vital information about something like being traumatizing as it relates to profiting or moving a young person to and fro in a way that was not legal or healthy, allegedly. Okay? And balance, in this case, this is the Justice card, but in this deck it's referred to as balance. This is a desire for bringing about balance. Now, the perpetrator probably wanted her to walk away and not say anything, not communicate anything. But I feel like it had somehow come to knowledge. Someone came to know that she may tell. Here's the thing. Erica, her profession was a legal secretary. And I know it wasn't criminal matters. She was in, business matters in terms of the law. But when you work in that type of field, you have a sense about yourself that you have to do what's right. You have to protect those who cannot protect themselves. You have to uphold the law. Even if you're not the attorney, even if you're not the judge, when you are in that profession, you are expected to carry yourself in a way and to act with a certain level of ethics and integrity. Now, of course, this could mean that maybe she was complicit in this, but I don't sense that. I sense that she was made aware of something going on with a young person. Could it be her child? Perhaps. Could be her own child. But when I was doing this reading, it was starting to be revealed that it could be someone close to her, could be a child from the team, or a friend of her child, like a close friend, and she was made aware of something going on with a young person. And I think she made it known that she, needed to convey some information about that. Okay. So that's what the illegal activities card is speaking to. And this person, this perpetrator, also this trauma card is speaking to having a desire to want to cause trauma to her. It was that serious to keep this under wraps. Whatever this is, whatever this is. And she was just at her end of her rope. That came up in a few of her readings that we've done so far. She was ready to just kind of walk away and see where the chips may fall and deal with it accordingly. But she was ready to do that within days. The cups represents the timing of days. Okay, days came up in the earlier part of this reading. So this was all kind of culminating. Like this is something that was cooking up, and then within the days ahead, this is what led to what happened. Now, let's move on to the next question. Then we asked, was Erica dealing with a stalker type who was making unwanted advances? And if so, how did she deal with it? So the card that came up quickly, it flew out. It was the Death card. And this card, when you're dealing with tarot, you're dealing with the affirmative or the negative, yes or no. And in this case, this card is indicating no. This wasn't a stalker, okay? And for further clarification, we have no. This wasn't a stalker. This was someone who felt like they needed to check her. They needed to have an ending of sorts to this cycle that was building up. They needed to handle this to ensure a positive new beginning for themselves. But this was not a stalker situation. This was not. Okay, next question. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting. What are the energies surrounding someone from her son's baseball team, a parent or a friend of her son's doing this to her? This card came up. Look at this. This is the Ace of Wands, the baton, all right? Ace of Wands. If you look carefully here, it says, yes, this is an affirmative card. Even if I didn't have yes here, I like having this for when I do it with clients so they can see for themselves. But I can read affirmative and negative on this deck. This would be a negative, right? So in this deck, it affirms there is something about her sons. Could be the son has a good friend who's on a baseball team, a good close friend who was or is on a baseball team. Okay. And I say that because then this card flew out, the sun. The sun card is associated with friendship. It is one of the key words in the guidebook for this deck. Is friendship. It is also clarity, illumination, something being illuminated. And interestingly enough, I feel like everything just kind of transpired over the course of like 7 days or a week. Ace of Wands is tied to 1 week for me. Wands representing the timing of weeks. Ace representing the number 1. So there was something coming up here. And the Sun card with the friend, and this is not saying that this is necessarily her child. This is someone close to her child or to her children, a friend, when this card came up. Because I was hoping Spirit would give me some sign or give me some clarification. And this card flew out. And for me, as a reader working with this deck, I always associate this card in these type of readings with friend or friendship. Okay. You can check out my readings I did for Alania Lenoir, the young lady who is missing out of Atlanta, and this card came up in her reading, the Sun card, and I interpret it in terms of a friend, okay? Now, the Antidote card is about a welcome remedy to a toxic problem, a cure, a balancing force against negativity. Okay, now, I sense Erica being who she is, the woman she is. She wanted to be a remedy to a negative situation, a negative toxic problem. She wanted to be a cure to a very toxic situation. She wanted to be a balancing force against negativity. We saw that word balance here. Traditionally, it's the Justice card. And so I sensed she made it known. I sensed that maybe she had been hearing about this situation, dealing with this situation for a while. She had been dealing with it. And then within about a week's time, it was known. Messages about a child, that she was no longer going to deal with this anymore. She was going to walk away, but not before she let it be known. She wanted to bring a situation, some balance. She wanted to be a cure to a toxic situation with the antidote card as it relates to a friend. Now, I also started to sense like, well, could it be a mother of a child that she's dealing with? Maybe one of the other teen moms is going through something and is a close friend of her son's. And so she wanted to intervene with that. That's a possibility. That's a possibility. Or it could literally be something pertaining to her own child. But when that son card came up, that affirmed for me that it's feeling like something else going on here. And that was interesting to me because a couple of my viewers were like, this could be something to deal with the baseball, team angle. And I was like, at first I was like, I don't know. And I'm still kind of like, my logical mind, if you will, is like, no, it's got to be a partner or a lover. I never got a sense it was her kids, but I was just like, no, but it gets even trickier. Let me keep going. Now that I dialed it in, what are the energies surrounding someone known to one of her sons who did this, right? And we got Page of Cups, which is an affirmative card of yes. Okay. Yes. We got Umbrella. This is about sanctuary. This is about protecting someone from something out of their control. And then this card jumped. Child. We have 2 Page of Cups here. We have this Page of Cups from this deck, that Page of Cups from the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Okay, 2 pages. Child flew out. And now remember, the question is, what are the energies surrounding someone known to one of her sons that could perhaps done this? And this is yes. This is an affirmative of yes. The Umbrella card is about protection from something beyond control. Being a sanctuary to someone. It could be a bad omen. The Page of Cups is coming up again. Pages are also about messages surrounding a relationship of sorts. A bad omen, and a child who needed to be protected. Children who could be needing to be protected with these 2 pages now that I'm looking at it. But yeah, this is something related to her sons knowing this person. Her sons know of this person. Which is interesting to me. Because you know what's also interesting to me? Is nowhere at all in any of the news clippings that I was looking through, anything online, where I saw that there was an outcry from her sons or her partner or her, relatives or, there was the community was like, what is going on here? What happened to this woman? And what's going on? But not once did we hear from her kids. And her kids are teenagers. Now, some people were like, well, teenagers don't need to speak. Well, I understand that. But I went through a very public tragedy myself. And thankfully, my family and I made it through. Okay, we made it through. And I had 2 teenage sons, but one of the sons was gravely injured. And it was very public. And my older son, he was there. He was right there, with me. I would have to give him permission if somebody was to interview him, but he was right there. Right there. Okay? And he, he's able to say and convey something. Now, could be, remember, law enforcement choking back information, including with someone close to her, because they don't want any problems with prosecution later down the line. And that's the only thing I can think of as to why we haven't heard family step forward and say something. Okay, moving on. Next question. Now, we then asked, I asked, was this a hired hit? Is this the possibility of this being a hired hit? And if so, who ordered it? Now, this is also where it gets all kinds of interesting, because in the earlier part of the reading that we did, that I recorded earlier tonight, the oracle reading, it was like, did she know who this person who did this to her? That was the oracle card that came up. Now, sometimes cards come up and we can't really understand why they came up. And it may be that case this time until later on down the line. But it started to, at first I thought, oh, well, maybe someone hired this person, or maybe someone enlisted this person to do something on their behalf. And she may not have really known of this person. Or she may have known of this person, but not really have been around this person, don't really know him. But nevertheless, if he came to door and would have been like, oh, her son let him in, or her son knows who this person is because he has a relationship with a child, and let them into the house, I still intuitively believe that there was, that this person came in to the house, and it wouldn't, for her son, it maybe not be so alarming. It could be alarming, but not so much, because this person is known. This person is known to the child. But in terms of her, like hanging out with this person, I don't know. That's what was interesting to me. And I'm still sitting with that card. I suppose I can ask for a little clarity, like, was this person known? Where's my other deck? Was this person known? I don't know. But nevertheless, what came up was this a hired hit? We got 9 of Swords, indicative of no. And I was like, okay, well, I needed further clarity on this, because I was thinking, well, this must be a hired hit. And then we got the Devil, which should then affirm, again, no, this wasn't a hired hit where somebody paid someone to do this. This is not that right there. Let's see what this says. Huh, that's interesting. Perp sustained a wound during the murder. But the Devil card with the 9 of Swords is speaking to, no, someone knows. Someone could have been in bed, could have been stressing out, still stressing out several months later, and will continue stressing out about this. They know of the Devil who did this. They know of the Devil who did this. This is not a hired hit. Okay? This is someone who was protecting what's theirs with this baby card. And the baby card, again, just affirming that a child knows this involvement here. These two cards, this is about spiritual ascension, and this is about actual moving up the ladder, moving up, stepping up in life. And this is about peace. They did this because they were not wanting to lose sleep over this particular matter over here. Something coming out. They didn't want to lose sleep over that. And so they were like, they had to do what they had to do to quiet her. And yeah, look, important details are not being revealed to the public at this time. So they wanted to quiet her. That's what it boiled down to. And this devil card, I mean, he is a beast and he's scary. And this is why people are having nightmares, anxiety, worries, traumatized by what has happened, and they're fearful that this person could retaliate. All because he did not want his life messed over, and he felt like he could just go ahead and do away with Erica, or he could at least scare her. I don't know if he had the full intention of how everything went down. I don't know if he did, but the baby card was interesting. The baby card also could speak to that this was his life. He felt like she was coming after it, and he had to do something about that. Wow, this came up earlier. The killer had an argument or disagreement with the victim. This one jumped earlier. This crime may be solved by DNA testing or other scientific methods. So there was some evidence left at the scene. Remember, we have the footprints card. There is some evidence. Okay. But yeah, this person had to do this, but there was somebody who was there in the bed and has since lost a lot of sleep over this matter, over what has happened at the hands of this devil. This could also represent Erica losing sleep over this whole situation as well. This whole situation. Okay, so that's why I was saying things are getting a little complicated here. I feel like whoever this was, he was like, you're overstepping your bounds, Erica. You need to, I can't have this. I gotta get a leg up in this situation with the ladder card. And if that means that I have to hurt you to do it, to quiet you, I will. And he has put the fear of God in people. Or in this case, the fear of the devil. Okay, next question. So then we ask, what is the ultimate motive of this person who did this to Erica? And this was interesting. This was interesting to me. This card jumped. There was a motive for committing the crime. But if you look carefully here, there's like little money bags here. Now, of course, there could be multiple motives. But then we have the King of Coins, the Seven of Cups, mental jail. Now, sometimes with this card, it can mean that they were afraid to be in a mental jail, or they're in a mental jail now from what their actions were as a result of pursuing this motive. And it also can sometimes mean that someone could become have ideations of wanting to take their life. Or someone close to them who has knowledge of this thing could also have the same. Okay. They felt like options were being taken away. That she was taking certain things from their life, and they had to protect that. They had to protect their livelihood, their life with this pentagram. They did not want to be knocked off their throne as the King of Coins. The life that they knew it. And she had to sacrifice, there had to be a sacrifice, and that was her. Her life had to be sacrificed in order for this person to continue on with their life because of some information that was going to be revealed. Yeah, that's what came up. I'll see if there's anything else. Lies, deception, and a potential cover-up. That's why it's complicated with law enforcement with that reverse tower. Okay, that is, it's not just so cut and dry as, okay, her partner did it. If her partner did it, I would think, I could be wrong, I could be totally wrong, and that's okay. I would think that we would hear something by now. Usually those kind of cases move relatively quickly. You usually know if it's someone like a close relative, but this is a lot more complicated and nuanced. And so on one hand, it's not so cut and dry, but on the other hand, the law enforcement has a good idea of what happened because there was someone who bore witness. We'll talk about that in a moment. There was, and it's tied to these children. These children know, and it also is why, this person's DNA could be in the home because of a child. Maybe, it's complicated. Okay, now let me move on to this last question. Now, one of the questions, there was a couple of questions. First, I was going to ask about, like, where was her sons or where was her partner? But as this started to take shape, this reading, I realized it's not really them that this reading is geared towards or focused on. So I know one son was in the home. That's presuming, I don't know if that for a fact, but that's what I was able to kind of deduce from the news articles and rumor mill. However, I'm not sensing at this point. We can see if there's anything else that can be shed on that. I don't think that that's an important question anymore based on what has come up in this part of the reading. But then we also wanted to know about the neighborhood itself and the house itself. Like, was there, was it the neighborhood that had went bad? But this is personal. This is personal. This is personal. This is someone who had a vendetta, who set out to protect what they felt was being encroached upon by her, and they were mad about that. And not just mad, they felt like they needed to do this. They needed to do this to protect their life. Their life. Never mind her life, but to protect their life. So with this part of the spread, I thought this was interesting because I was like, okay, so it's not really the how, like this, what Spirit ended up doing was going in a different direction with this part of the reading. So we got the Six of Swords, and really and truly, this is like explaining a bit further about this perpetrator and the person who may know more. This is someone who is helping them to leave behind or leave the situation or try to move forward. They're not necessarily involved. It's not like really like an aiding and abetting situation, or what is it? I forgot what you call it when you're assisting someone after the fact. It's not that. They have an understanding that this person needs to move on and move forward. So there is someone who's kind of helping and ushering in that help. But this was about what this really boils down to. This really clarified the motive even further. This is the reverse Queen of Swords. And then we have the Ace of Wands in reverse. This is brutal force, wanting to take away a woman's power, her voice, her ability to lead and to protect. This is brute force. It was a man, obviously, I'm thinking, who the black magic card came up. And this is about not so much black magic. So oftentimes this card comes out about someone who has ill will, dark intentions, setting out something to, in this case, to take this woman's power away by literally sheer force with like a wooden object, in this case, the wands or a baseball bat, so they could move forward and move on. And they did have some sort of assistance, someone who feels a bit downtrodden about like helping this person, because this person isn't really a nice person when it's all said and done. They're not. This man is not a nice person, but he feels in the right about doing what he did. Okay. Again, this card came up. This is about bearing witness. Someone had knowledge. They've witnessed it. They know something about what happened. The hired help card came up, which I thought was interesting, because I was like, didn't you say that there was no money hired? But this is, again, about someone having money motivations. You see all the cash here. Part of what they were doing is worried that their enterprise is going to be compromised. Their way of life, how they are moving is compromised. Then this also could sometimes speak to hired help in terms of them needing to get a lawyer. They may have already gotten a lawyer. If you look carefully here, one of the words here is lawyer, housekeeper, private security, gardener. A lot of times when I see this, I think of this one, murder for hire. You can barely see it here. But it also could speak to different elements of this person is the king of coins. He has a whole little enterprise, a business, maybe something related to the baseball team. Like he's got something going and he wants to protect that at all costs, including doing things that have ill intentions towards someone. I told y'all this was not going to be 45 minutes, but of course, here we are. That's okay. Here's the thing that I thought was interesting is that this card made me a little sad. And that's because the ribbon card represents happy times. It represents a symbol of hope. And that I don't think that she could have anticipated the brutality that was coming her way. Okay. She could not have she could not anticipate that the strength that she was planning to show with this dragon card, the magnificent power that she had, the courage and the honor that she was exemplifying and showing others and daring and just standing in her power. She had no idea that someone was this depraved that would do this. She had no idea. Erica had no idea. And this was a storm coming. There was a storm brewing, had been off in the distance and snuck up and was way more powerful than she ever imagined. It's like sometimes those storms you see off in the horizon and you think, oh, it's not going to be that bad. And then it's upon you and it is dangerous. It is all, like you don't know if you're ever going to make it out of it. And yeah, that's what this person did. Turbulent times, a troubled person, troubled emotions. And so they could not stand for her to stand up against wrong and injustice. They could not do that. They just could not tolerate it. But thankfully, there is inner knowledge. There is someone who's seen something. We can trust that. We can trust that. One of the things I did mention when I thought it was recording was justice. Justice is going to be interesting in this case because here's the thing. Justice may not come in the way that we hope or when we hope it will in this case. I do sense the truth is going to be revealed. I see it throughout the reading here and the readings I've done on just previously on Erica's case. But sometimes it can come in the form of someone not ever, being prosecuted. They could take their own life. Someone could take their life. They could, there could be a lot of legal challenges. There could be a lot of different issues that don't give us the satisfaction of seeing someone go to trial and receive a very long sentence. It may not result in that, but I do feel like the truth is going to be revealed, and in due time, this person will receive the karma that's due to them, because you don't go around harming people the way you do and in this way and not escape karma. You don't. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So I think we're going to end it here. I've rambled on long enough. This is a very extra long one because I was like, whoa, I was not expecting this direction for the turn that it went in with this reading. I was not. I feel like she was protecting someone, and it had to deal with a young person. And in her child or children knows this person, and it knows there's something tied to her children, and there was a need to protect, and this was coming out, and this was a problem for this person. This was a major problem that they could not allow to happen. They had to protect this secret. They had to, at all costs. They could not let her get away with saying anything about this. And it cost her life. It did. They wanted peace of mind. It's one of the key words with the shell card. Peace of mind and protection against, against something hampering their finances or their way of living or their, how they show up in the world. And that is like, whoa. It's whoa. All right. Well, praying for justice, praying for real solid justice for Erica. She did not at all deserve this. And I'm also praying for the strength of her loved ones, especially her boys, her kids, and those who love her. And yeah, we're going to stop it here. Thank you all so much for submitting your questions, hanging out with me for this long. You probably had to pause and come back to this. Thank you for doing that if you did. Please do me a favor on your way out. Hit the like button. And also, if you would like more content like this, subscribe. I'm recording this as of December 9th, 2022. This was a long reading, one of the longest I've ever done for a Mystery Mystic Monday. And I will be taking a break from recording them. I'll be back in probably mid to late January to return back to Mystery Mystic Mondays, this series. But don't worry, I'm coming back. I just need to take a break and focus on some different content, focus on some other things going on in my life. But we'll be back, okay, my friends? But if you want to see other, readings I've done, check out the playlist. It has grown. I've been doing this for over a year now. And there's I think there's at least 100 videos there. So you've got plenty of content to dive into and explore that I've recorded in Mystery Mystic Mondays. So love you all. Please, please take very good care of yourselves. If you're watching this around the holiday season, I hope you have an amazing holiday season. And, love on your family. And I'll see you all around. Bye for now.